Today, I am speaking to Sophie Riley about automating different aspects of her business in order to reduce overwhelm and free up time for more enjoyable things. Sophie Riley is co-founder and CEO of the VIP Hub, our all-in-one sales and marketing platform. A self-described automation nerd and list building obsessed, she is also a host, a speaker, and a mom. She helps coaches and course creators build systems and passive income to free up their time and their mind so that they can focus on literally anything else while increasing their productivity and minimizing problems. I'm excited to introduce you to Sophie. She will have you looking at automation as more than just a technical term, and I'm sure you'll be making a list of ways you could implement it into your life and business. Here's my conversation with Sophie.
So, Sophie, I am so excited to welcome you to my new podcast, Imperfection in Progress. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So, tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
I am what I like to call an automation nerd, list building obsessed, and I am generally you can call me lazy or savvy. There's like a fine line in between, but I am obsessed with things that can save us time and insanity. And all that is reflected in what I do as the co-founder and CEO of the VIP Hub, which is an all-in-one marketing platform.
Okay, so I know about the VIP Hub because I love it and I'm fully invested in it and everything I do comes out of it. But tell our audience a little bit more about what it makes possible.
Yes, I love that question. So the VIP Hub is a marketing platform. What that means is that it's a platform where you can do websites, funnels, right? So you can have all of your nice web pages. If we want to just break it down a little bit, you can create beautiful courses. You can send your emails. You can schedule on your calendar. There's basically everything that you need as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. So instead of investing in 10 different systems and having to basically scotch them together, scotch tape them, that was hard to say, scotch tape them together, right? And what makes me think of this is how my ability to wrap up Christmas presents. Okay. So imagine somebody that's really bad and you're trying to put things together. So it's going to take you more time to make it work. It might not be able to do what you want. So what the VIP Hub does is magic. It is able to automate almost 90% of your business. And what that does is that it saves you hundreds of time every single month in your business. And if you think about it, we only have two really, really limited resource in our business. We have time and we have money, right? And both of that means that you can save either hundreds of dollars because you don't have to hire anybody to take care of your business, or you save hundreds of hours of time each month.
Yeah, it is awesome the way that it comes in and simplifies things. And like you said, just to be able to automate so much of your business and your life around it. So this podcast, I talk about the 3 Ps, which is the people pleaser, the person who's a perfectionist, and the person that's the procrastinator. And I know for a fact that the VIP Hub is something that is so useful for every one of these three. And I thought first I would ask you, what do you tend to be more often?
I am a people pleaser.
Okay, so flesh that out for me. Where does that show up in your life?
I would say everywhere, right? If someone comes up for help, I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, no problem. Let me help you. Let me fix your life, right? And it has been very, very, very hard for me to set up boundaries around my business, especially in the past, working as a service provider, working behind the scenes. So working and building events for clients, building funnels, building websites. It shows up everywhere in my life. But if we're talking business, clients sending me an email needing something right away, maybe the communication was not clear about what I was doing, what is being asked. There's so much into business where, you kind of put like a little crack in the door and they will ram through that door so fast. Everybody's nice. And don't get me wrong, but people will always take more of you than they should. And boundaries has been my biggest mountain to climb so far.
I love hearing you say this because you are very successful at what you do. You've created something where it actually provides some boundaries for people that are looking to build their business, but at the same time, it's one of your struggles. And I think to be able to hear that, that you can still build a business around it, but it's obviously harder when you don't have boundaries than when you do. Tell us one way that you've set a boundary in your life that's working for you.
So it all comes down to your process and your automation. So think about it this way. Let's say that you have a client and that client is on a 6-month payment plan, right? It could be a membership. It's something that they pay each month a certain amount of money. Okay, let's say that the payment doesn't go through and you're sitting at your desk and you're like, oh, shoot, I don't have a process for this. That is overwhelming. You don't know what to do, so you're not gonna do anything. You're like, "It's okay. It's just it doesn't matter." It does matter. But at that point, you don't know what to do, so you don't know anything, and then you're all, like, awkward about it. Okay, same thing if you didn't have a process, so let's say contract, terms of service, or that type of stuff, right? As to what people are entitled to in terms of your time and your services. And when somebody asks the question, you don't have a process, you're like, especially if you're put like in front of the person, it's really easy for a people pleaser to say, yes, no problem, I'll do it. And then you're like, "Ugh, what did I do? Why did I do that?" But now let's think about it, those two examples with a process. Okay, so if somebody doesn't pay, right? I use Stripe, for example, and Stripe, I know, will now try 5 times over a period of time. It is also very clear in my terms of service as to what happens if there's a non payment. And then I have an automated sequence. I am not involved. I cannot procrastinate on it. I have decided what the process was going to be, and I automated it so people would get an email as to what happens if we don't hear back from them or we can't rectify the issue. I am completely not involved in this process.
I love that.
I am not, right? Same thing working behind the scene. He's asking you to do X, Y, Z. You could have so many things, right? As per the contract, as per our agreement that we signed on this date, this is what I'm doing. And if you'd like any more services, I'd be happy to do them at this rate as discussed on this date, right? Like when you know exactly what needs to happen, you can one, feel better about it, have your answers, you are confident, you can make them happen. But I would say that 99% of the time, you can automate that process, remove yourself from the situation. And that has helped me a lot in a lot of areas where you wouldn't even think about it.
I think that's really interesting for people pleasers too, because often you get really emotionally involved if you have to be the one that's literally speaking to the person or writing the email in the moment. But when you already have the processes in place, right, it just takes that step back and allows your emotions to like to really not be involved. You're not engaged.
Exactly, exactly. Um, it makes a huge difference. Like it's like white and black, right? Once you have the process, and I've been in both situation. Obviously, I have learned the hard way, and that is okay. Just to be in a situation now with a process, it you can't even compare the two. There's no stress. There's nothing to worry about it per se. It's completely different. It's amazing having that process set in place.
That is fantastic. So I can see how this could work for people pleasers for sure, having processes in place, having automation in place. What about for people who are perfectionists? What does it do to be able to automate?
See, the thing is about being a perfectionism is that there's a lot of procrastination as well, right? Because we want things to be just right. We want things to be perfect. Now, obviously, it's something that we have to work on. There's a reason why we are super perfectionists. I get it. I am there too. The beauty about automating a process is that it's done the way that you want. every single time without you being involved. Because the thing about making things be perfect is that you're going to drop the ball all over your business because nothing will ever be perfect. Right? So, okay, so we know that you brought up like an automation, okay, to the best of your abilities at the moment. And it it's good. It's good. So you automate the process and you don't have to keep thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking about it. So by having that process, you make sure that your business always forward. Like perfectionism is definitely something that I have struggled with as well as a type A personality. But what I've realized is that 99, a whole lot of the decision that I make in my business actually doesn't matter. It literally does not matter because what matters is that you make a decision, you move forward, and you revisit, you adjust, right? So if we think of a sequence that we can put in place and be okay with it, right? So we're okay, we set out the sequence and just look at the number and make it better. But knowing that that sequence is done is key.
I think part of the beauty for me, because I'm definitely a recovering perfectionist, of working within the VIP hub, working with automation, is the fact that once it's done, it's consistent and it's the overthinking. I'm not overthinking. If I want to change it, if I want to keep improving it, I can go back and do that at time when I have time, right? But at least it is actually happening. And that's why this is called imperfection in progress, because we have to do it imperfectly or it's never going to happen. Like, just get it
What
out.
is perfection, Dawn? Like, what is it? How do we know it's perfect? Right? Because the thing with business is that we evolve,
Mhm.
the marketing evolves, what we know evolves. It's never going to be perfect, right? So I love that.
I think it's the constant tweaking, right? Like we would just always continue to tweak and tweak and tweak and tweak and nothing gets out. So again, like I think the fact that if we can automate and again, even just remove some of that mental just chatter, right? That's always going on and allow us some free space in there to be creative, to do other things, to think about other things, or to put out other just offerings, right? It really allows us that space and time in our brain when we automate other things and just get them going.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's the mental freedom and that productivity that just allows you to scale your business.
Right, right. So what would you say to somebody who maybe is just starting out? Is it still usable or is this for somebody who has to have a team, be all in, have an email list, all this stuff going on? Like, who is this for?
I love that question. And it all depends. It all depends what your goals are this year, right? So if you are someone that's just starting out and you're just dipping your toes, you just want to build your email list, you're not interested in a website or funnel or anything else like that, something like a free system is great to start, like MailChimp or ConvertKit. But I will say this, the best way to make money in the online space is through automation, is through a welcome sequence. And you are basically putting money into the garbage if you're concentrating on just building your email list and just sending one email confirmation. The beauty of the online space and the goal of building that email list is a long-term strategy. Yes, I can make money now every time I email my email list, but I can also make money just by doing list building activities because if you come into my world, you then get a sequence that is meant to sell. Right? And not having that in place might not be the best thing for your business. I always say that you're working on two business at the same time. You're building your business right now. You're making money right now. How do I crush my business in December? But I am also building my long term business. Okay. So that I don't always have to work as hard as I did when I just started my business. This is how we don't burn out. We build long term activities, long term things in our business through automation, through having some evergreen content, through having things that can always sell, right? Like 365 days a year, that we build a business of our dream. We build a business that brings freedom. Because if you're always working in your right now, just social media, just building an email list, you're always, I'm gonna say, not always gonna be exhausted, but at some point you're gonna be like, how am I gonna keep doing this? Right? So I'd love to say that everybody, every single person, if you have big goals into your business, but you also don't want to spend your entire life into your business, the VIP Hub is for you, because everybody into the platform obviously are amazing. Dawn is part of the platform. She's great. But it's meant for you to be learning the tech. It's nothing that you need to be scared of. It's nothing that you need to be overwhelmed of. Everybody is overwhelmed by tech. I'm overwhelmed by tech if I go into a new platform, but we have a team to help you learn the platform. It is really designed with the mind that the small business owner, the solopreneur that does not have a big team and wants to learn how to do their tech, this is exactly why we designed the VIP Hub.
I love that you talk about like it's for anyone that's looking to grow their business, because the reality is if you are looking to grow and especially to scale, whether that means this year or next year or in 3 years, you have to be doing some steps to move forward, right? Growing your email list, nurturing your audience, continuing to build whatever it is that you want as an evergreen to be bringing income and so on. One of the things I would love to chat just for a couple minutes about with you are what are a few of the ways that we can use VIP Hub, or even if they're not using VIP Hub, but they're just thinking, what do I do to grow my audience? I know one of the things that you offer through there is a summit program, but what are different things that we can be looking at that would help grow that audience?
Okay, so if you are working on growing your audience this year, so Dawn mentioned a summit, which I consider a summit, is huge. It's amazing. It's like planning a wedding. Okay, that's like the big show, the big event within the entrepreneur space. It's something big that you do. That's something exciting. It builds momentum. It's a launch event. You're about to launch something seriously epic, and you're gonna bring up the heat. This is something that is incredible and also very techy and time consuming. So it's really important that when you decide on a strategy, that you pick something that you have time to implement. Otherwise, because no one set herself for failure, that you have time to implement, but it also work with your energy. And I understand that once you realize that nothing in your business is going to happen by magic and just wanting it, and that you have to work and do some stuff that's uncomfortable, sometimes you're going to look at something and be like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. And then I need you to be consistent. Things that you can do to build a list can be posting into Facebook group. That seriously magical unicorn of a lead magnet, something that is so attractive, something that jumps out, something like if I was to look at a black and white picture, I want to see like a pop of color, and that is your lead magnet. That is something that every single person that you target want. And then you take that, this is what something that you build, obviously, into the VIP Hub and with all of the automation, where you can promote onto Facebook group and social media. You can start creating evergreen content. So an evergreen content is a platform such as a podcast, a blog, YouTube, and even LinkedIn is something that is searchable on Google. So you're building your footprint, you're building the content that people are going to start to look for and find. Another great platform to promote that lead magnet is Pinterest. Just amazing to not die like a short video or reel or a TikTok after a little while, right? And then you can also look into collaborating. Collaborating is amazing. So yes, there's a summit, but there's smaller collaboration, like it's something that you do live with a bunch of amazing people that has the same audience as you. You can offer a bundle where you collaborate and you give lots of gifts as a whole. So you're collaborating and you're using other people's amazing list to build your own. You're going to build faster doing that. And if hosting one is not something you're interested in, that's okay. You can take part into others. You can go collaborate on Instagram, collaborate on YouTube, podcasts, go push yourself out there and to start collaborating. So in short, those are every single thing that you can do to grow your list. There's definitely a few more I'm sure forget, like a quiz and all that good stuff. But the bottom line is pick one and be consistent. You want to get your business where you've done the work, even if it's just 15 minutes a day, 5 days a week, because of course I'm going to take the weekend off, right? So whatever you do, just do it 15 minutes a day and your email list will explode. It is so, so, so important that you have the tech set up to nurture every single person that comes into your world. And I don't care if it's one, 100, or 10,000, every single one of those human beings deserve your attention. And we do that through automations.
I love this. No, so good. So good. And I think that's the importance is understanding that consistency, right? That's what builds things is really by being consistent and knowing, where you're going so that there's a purpose to what you're doing. So thank you so much for that. I think that's important for everyone to understand. And I think the relief too that automation can bring, like we were saying mentally, but also just in freeing up your time and so you're not living around your business constantly. I know for a lot of entrepreneurs, they think it's going to be time freedom and then 24/7 they're tied to their computer or their phone, right? So it's good to hear that there are ways to change that so that we still have that time freedom and time for family and fun and other things that we want to do.
Yes, I love that. We have both been there at the beginning, for sure, 1,000%. If you can spend 15 to 30 minutes, broke it down during the week on your future business, on your automation, on the tech, on growing a business that is going to be sustainable on a long term, you will be successful.
So Sophie, tell us where our listeners can connect with you best.
Oh, yes. I am on Instagram, of course, at Sophie Riley, Sophie_C_Riley. I also have a podcast, Create, Automate, and Scale. Kind of feel that as appropriate, right? So those would be the two best places to contact me. You can also hit me up on my website, sophieriley.ca.
Thanks, Sophie. And I know that I'm going to throw in the show notes an amazing freebie that you're offering, which is 29 summit swipe files ready to use for your next summit, which is awesome. Tell us a little bit about what those will be.
Yes, so there's a lot of emails and copy into that goes into an event. What is great about the slide files is that you can use that for any event that you have in your business. You just change the wording a little bit. That also gives you a really good overview as to everything that happens to a summit because you sort of see like the whole timeline, which is amazing. And who doesn't love an awesome sweat files where you don't have to figure out every single email that you have to send? I'm a big fan of not starting from scratch.
Fantastic. So I am going to put all of the links so that you can connect with Sophie if you want to learn more about the VIP Hub. It'll all be in our show notes. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, Sophie.
Thank you for having me.